On a lonely December night, a grieving man hears a mysterious visitor at his door. What begins as a small sound soon becomes a haunting conversation with a raven who knows only one answer. As the night grows darker, the visitor will force him to face his memories, his questions, and the sorrow he cannot escape. Once upon a midnight dreary, the narrator sits weak and weary over old books, hoping their forgotten knowledge will quiet his sorrow. He is grieving Lenore, a rare and radiant woman who is now lost to him forever. The December fire throws strange shadows across the room, while the rustling purple curtains fill him with fear. He waits for morning, but the room offers no comfort and his memories refuse to disappear. A gentle tapping makes the narrator believe that a visitor is waiting outside his chamber. He tries to calm himself, then opens the door and finds only darkness. He stands there wondering and dreaming, but the silence gives no answer. Finally, he whispers the name Lenore into the empty hall, and the echo returns it. For a moment, the sound of her name seems alive, but the empty darkness reminds him that his grief has no visitor and no relief. The tapping sounds again, this time at the window. The narrator tells himself it must be the wind, but when he opens the shutter, a stately black raven suddenly steps into the room. Without bowing or asking permission, the bird flies to the sculpture bust above the chamber door and settles there as if it belongs in the haunted room. Its calm arrival is strangely formal, making the impossible visitor appear even more mysterious. The raven's solemn expression briefly makes the narrator smile. He asks the ancient-looking bird for its name, and the raven answers with one strange word, Nevermore. The answer seems meaningless, perhaps learned from a sorrowful former master, yet it immediately becomes connected to the narrator's deepest fears. When he wonders whether the bird will leave him like his other hopes, the raven repeats the same terrible word, turning a simple reply into a prophecy of loss. Unable to ignore the bird, the narrator pulls a velvet chair beneath the raven and begins studying it. He tries to discover what Nevermore means and imagines that the word is the only phrase the raven ever learned. Yet the bird's fiery eyes seem to burn into his heart. The quiet room, the lamp, the violet cushion, and the unmoving raven turn his thoughts into a maze, where every explanation leads him back to Lenore and the fear of permanent loss. As the air grows heavier and strangely perfumed, the narrator imagines that angels have sent him relief from the memory of Lenore. He wishes for a drink of nepenthe, a mythical medicine that could make him forget his pain. He begs the raven to tell him whether such comfort is possible, but the answer remains the same. Nevermore destroys even the hope of temporary escape, suggesting that neither medicine nor angels can remove the memory he carries. The narrator now calls the raven a prophet, whether it is a bird, a devil, or a creature carried in by the storm. He asks if there is any healing for a soul living in a haunted home, and the raven answers nevermore. Desperate, he asks whether he will meet Lenore again in a distant heaven. Once more, the single word closes every door of hope. His questions become more personal, and the raven's repeated answer becomes inseparable from his sorrow. Furious and heartbroken, the narrator orders the raven to return to the storm and leave his loneliness untouched. The bird does not move. It remains perched above the chamber door, its demon-like eyes fixed on him while the lamp throws its shadow across the floor. The narrator realizes that his soul is trapped beneath that shadow and that the grief of Lenore will be lifted from him nevermore. The raven has become a lasting symbol of memory, sorrow, and unanswered loss.